how every infamous dictator died.
Adolf Hitler. When Soviet tanks rumbled through the streets of Berlin in late April 1945, Adolf Hitler knew his empire had crumbled. The man who once commanded millions was now trapped
He killed himself, no? He was like getting surrounded by a bunch of troops and then killed himself because he got caught.
underground like a rat. Hitler spent his final days in a concrete bunker beneath the Reich Chancellor.
Didn't he kill himself and his wife? Like, that's so fucked. That's so fucked. No, he had his wife kill herself, and then he killed himself, if I'm not mistaken. Such a pussy way to go out.
Surrounded by
You do all that shit and you just end it yourself. Like, what the fuck?
a shrinking circle of loyalists who watched their Führer deteriorate before their eyes. On April 29th, he married his longtime companion Eva Braun in a bizarre midnight ceremony. The next day, April 30th, 1945, Hitler said his final goodbyes. Around 3:30 in the afternoon, he and Eva retreated to their private quarters. What happened next was confirmed by those who found them.
I think it's so fucking funny how, like, it's, like, almost basically confirmed, or, like, recently people have been talking about this, how, like, scientists found out that he was most likely to have a micro penis. It's just so funny to me to think about. Like, think about this. No. Really, I really want you to think about this. Adolf Hitler, alright? He did a lot of bad things, okay? He ruled over a lot of people. You know, he was a bad man. You know, did all this shit. Come to find out, he may have a little bit of a micro penis. Maybe that's why he was so violent and mad. I'm joking. But anyways, that's actually crazy to think about. Adolf Hitler had a micro penis. Adolf Hitler had a micro penis. I guess it just happens to everyone. Well, it doesn't happen to everyone, because most people don't have micro penises. That's just so fucking funny, but Adolf Hitler had a micro penis. Alright, let's get back into the video now.
Hitler had bitten into a cyanide capsule and shot himself in the head simultaneously. Eva
But just wanted to take him and, like, make sure he fucking died.
died beside him, having only consumed the poison. Their bodies were carried up the bunker stairs, doused with gasoline in the Reich Chancellery garden, and set ablaze while Soviet artillery boomed in the distance. The man who'd sent millions to their deaths in camps and battlefields chose to escape judgment by his own hand, leaving nothing but charred remains and a legacy of horror. He was 56 years old. News of Hitler's death spread across the world, marking the end of the European theater of...
Technically, when you think about it, Hitler took out the biggest threat to the world and the biggest enemy of the world. And he was also the biggest enemy in the world. Crazy
World War II, and spawning decades of conspiracy theories about whether he really died or somehow escaped. Benito Mussolini.
People think he went to fucking Argentina.
Benito Mussolini spent his final hours running. The Italian dictator who'd once strutted on balconies preaching about a new Roman Empire was now disguised in a German military coat, trying to flee to Switzerland. On April 27, 1945, communist partisans stopped a German convoy at a checkpoint near Lake Como. Among the soldiers they found Il Duce himself, the great fascist leader hiding like a common criminal.
So fucking dumb, but...
Mussolini and his mistress Clara Petacci were pulled from the convoy and held overnight. The next day, April 28th, a partisan leader named Walter Audicio arrived with orders to execute them. Accounts vary on the exact details.
What does Hitler's wife look like? We're searching this up. Hitler's wife. I wanna see what she looks like. So this was Hitler's wife? I guess this was like Hitler's wife. Alright. I don't know, it looks like your average Joe. Your average Joe, yeah. Let's get back into the video now.
But what's certain is this. Mussolini and Petacci were taken to a villa gate in the small village of Giulino di Mezzegra and shot with a submachine gun. The partisans loaded the...
That's a good question. Is my mic actually working? Yo, can you guys even hear anything? What the fuck? Is my mic actually even working? It's a great fucking question. Because I don't want to repeat the same thing that happened fucking last time. That would piss me off so much if my mic is not working like it didn't work last time. It's a great fucking question. Okay, no. It's working. My mic is working.
Bodies into a van
Good
and
enough.
drove them to Milan,
Let's keep walking.
to a place called Piazzale Loreto. This wasn't random. Months earlier, Mussolini's regime had executed 15 partisans and left their bodies on display at that exact location. Now it was his turn. When the truck arrived at dawn on April 29th, Mussolini, Petacci, and several other executed fascist officials were dumped on the ground. A crowd gathered quickly, and things got ugly fast. People kicked the corpses, spat on them, fired at them again. One woman reportedly fired 5 more times into Mussolini's body, once for each of her dead sons. Then came the finale. The bodies were hung upside down from the roof of a gas station. The crowd went wild, jeering and celebrating beneath the corpses. News of Mussolini's brutal death flashed across the world, signaling the definitive collapse of fascist Italy and marking a symbolic turning point in the final unraveling of World War II. Kim Jong-il. Kim Jong-il ruled North Korea for 17 years with an iron grip, maintaining one of the most isolated and oppressive regimes on Earth. He cultivated a personality cult, so extreme that state propaganda claimed he could control the weather and didn't need to use the bathroom. But in December 2011, the man who'd been portrayed as nearly superhuman died from something decidedly human, a heart attack. On December 17, 2011, Kim Jong-il was traveling by train through North Korea when
Kim Jong-un.
he suffered a massive heart attack, reportedly brought on by physical and mental stress. He was 69 years old. North Korean state media didn't announce his death until 2 days later, on December 19th, claiming he died at 8:30 a.m. on his train, while on a field guidance tour. The announcement described him passing during a great mental and physical strain, while dedicating himself to the nation. Official reports said he'd been suffering from diabetes and heart disease for years, though the regime had hidden this from the public. When the news finally
Smart founders know something most people miss. Get your domain name even if you're not ready to launch your business. With Wix,
broke, North Korean television showed anchor Ri Chun-hee dressed in black, weeping as she announced the dear leader's passing. State media broadcast footage of citizens collapsing in theatrical grief, wailing in the streets and bowing before his portraits. Whether
this can't be real, bro.
The grief was genuine or performed out of fear, the spectacle was surreal. Kim Jong-il's body was embalmed and placed on display in a glass coffin at the Kumsusan Palace of the Sun in Pyongyang, lying in state alongside his father Kim Il-sung. Unlike many dictators who met violent ends, Kim Jong-il
Why is Kim Jong-un?
died of natural causes, never facing justice for the starvation, imprisonment, and execution of countless North Koreans. He passed power seamlessly to his son, Kim Jong-un, ensuring the dynasty continued. Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin ruled through terror for nearly 3 decades, but in the end, that same terror might have killed him. On the night of March 1, 1953, Stalin hosted one of his infamous late-night dinners at his dacha near Moscow. He drank heavily with his inner circle of Soviet officials, the same men who lived in constant fear of purges and midnight arrests. Around 4 a.m., Stalin dismissed everyone and retired to his private quarters. Then something happened. Hours passed. Stalin always summoned his guards and staff by mid-morning, but March 2nd came and went with silence from his room. Here's where it gets darkest. His guards and household staff knew something was wrong, but they were absolutely terrified to enter without being called. Stalin had cultivated such a climate of fear that his own people were too scared to check if he was alive. By the time someone finally worked up the courage to peek inside that evening, they found the 74-year-old dictator lying on the floor in a puddle of his own urine, partially paralyzed from a massive stroke. He'd been there for nearly 12 hours. Medical help was summoned, but the delay had done its damage. Stalin lingered for days, unable to speak, his face contorted, slowly dying while doctors tried desperately to...
Imagine walking in on the person you're fucking terrified of. They're just paralyzed on the ground, laying in a fucking puddle of their own piss. Like, what the fuck is this, bro?
Save him. Some historians believe his guards delayed on purpose. Others think his own officials might have poisoned him or withheld help intentionally. On March 5, 1953, at 9:50 p.m., Stalin finally died. The announcement triggered mass public mourning across the Soviet Union, but privately, many breathed sighs of relief as his reign came to an end. Rafael Trujillo ruled the Dominican Republic like his personal kingdom for 31
Did I hear that correctly? Dominican Republic, my friend. Dominican Republic, my friend. But I need to figure out that one song. I need to figure out the name of that one song now. What's that one, like, Dominican Republic song? Watch. I'm gonna find it as soon as I go on TikTok. I'm gonna go on TikTok real quick.
You know Doctor Doom is a bigger threat than Thanos, man. Do you not read the comics, bro? Thanos snapped half of...
Shush. Watch. Watch, I'm gonna search it up. Dominican baseball.
Los pilotos aterrizan, vamos a buscar esa.
Yes. It's time.
Andamos ruleta en una camioneta, recogimos la vaina que llegó la avioneta. Andamos ruleta en una camioneta, recogimos la vaina que llegó la avioneta. Coronao,
Wait, we need to find the exact song. We're gonna find it right now.
Ahí no hay don...
Te reboto como pelota porque tú
This is
quieres
it.
friki, no tiene ni un kiki, no tiene ni un, tú no tienes ni un kiki.
Tú sabes que soy mala y me gusta que
Te reboto como pelota
I'm
porque
gonna
tú quieres
break this
friki, no
kendo
tiene ni
stick
un
one day,
kiki,
bro.
no tiene.
I'm gonna break this fucking kendo stick one day. Oh my fuck. Yo. No, wait, I'm trying to find the...
Ella no piensa ni en condones,
No, but where's the exact one?
Vamos allá, ¿qué lo que?
But like...
Superhéroe nuevo, malo por la salsa que de tarde nos metemos caminando en el juego, el problema con tu ego y que tú te no vires yo pensando lo de menos. En la calle sabio contra mi gente, no lo vuelvo ruling con maná de delincuentes. Superhéroe nuevo, malo por la salsa.
Wait, I think I did enough Dominican Republic dancing. We're gonna go back to the
Brutal
video.
years, ordering assassinations, tortures, and disappearances with casual cruelty. But on the night of May 30th, 1961, the hunter became the hunted. Trujillo was being driven on a highway outside Santo Domingo when several cars
Is he gonna
suddenly
be the-
blocked his route. A group
Is he gonna be the first one that actually got assassinated and this like group of fucking like terrible fucking dictators and people?
of Dominican conspirators,
What the fuck?
many of them military officers who'd once served under him, emerged with weapons. They'd been planning this for months, with quiet support
First one on this list to get fucking assassinated. Which you would think most dictators would
from
be.
the CIA, who wanted Trujillo gone. The 69-year-old dictator's car was riddled with bullets. Some accounts say Trujillo tried to fight back, pulling out his own pistol and firing at his attackers before being shot multiple times. Within minutes, El Jefe, the chief, was dead on the side of the road, his body torn apart by gunfire. The conspirators loaded his corpse into one of their cars and drove away, unsure what to do next. Trujillo's body ended up stored in the trunk of a car for hours while the assassins debated their next move. Eventually, his remains were recovered by loyalist forces. What followed was chaos. Some conspirators were caught and executed, others fled, and the country descended into political turmoil. For a ruler so brutal, Trujillo's end was fittingly the same.
Fuck the ads. Fuck the ads.
Nicolae Ceausescu. Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu spent Christmas Day 1989 facing a firing squad, and the whole thing was captured on video. After ruling Romania with an iron fist for over 2 decades,
Romania.
the Ceausescus watched their power evaporate during the country's anti-communist revolution. On December 22nd, they attempted to flee Bucharest by helicopter as protests overwhelmed the capital. They were captured within hours. 3 days later, on Christmas Day, they stood trial in a small room at a military base in Targovist. The trial was a rushed affair, lasting barely an hour, with charges of genocide and embezzlement, among others. The elderly couple appeared confused and defiant, with Elena repeatedly protesting that the proceedings were illegal. The verdict was never in doubt: guilty, death sentence. Minutes after the trial concluded, Nikolay and Elena were led outside to a courtyard wall, soldiers lined up. The couple was given no chance to say goodbye or make final statements beyond their protests during the trial. The firing squad opened fire, and both Ceausescus dropped dead almost instantly, their bodies riddled with over 100 bullets. The execution was filmed, and that evening, Romanian television broadcast the news, along with footage proving they were dead. The footage spread internationally, shocking viewers who watched a longtime communist leader go from power to execution in just 3 days.
Damn.
Pol Pot, the architect
Paul-
of Cambodia's genocide that killed up to 2 million people, died quietly in a jungle hut in 1998. After the Khmer Rouge regime fell in 1979, Pol Pot fled into the jungle near the
old is
Thai
this guy?
border where he lived as a fugitive for nearly 2 decades. By 1998,
Bro was just living his like a calm life in the woods, hiding away from everyone after he just like killed 2 million people. He said, "Yeah, I'm just gonna do my own thing by myself."
he
man."
was 73 years old, under house arrest by a splinter faction of his own former movement. On April 15, 1998, Pol Pot died in his sleep, reportedly from heart failure. The timing was suspicious. Just
lived a
days
long
earlier,
time, though.
remaining Khmer Rouge leaders had agreed to hand him over for an international war crimes trial. Instead, he escaped justice by dying in a bamboo hut. The Khmer Rouge, knowing how skeptical the world would be, did something macabre. They displayed Pol Pot's corpse to journalists, inviting them to
What?
photograph the body to prove he was really dead. Images of his lifeless body appeared in newspapers globally. There would be no trial, no accountability, no chance for victims to face him in court. The butcher of Cambodia had literally died in his sleep and avoided answering for millions of deaths. His body was cremated on a makeshift pyre of tires and trash, a pathetic end
What
for a
is
man
this,
who'd
bro?
orchestrated industrial-scale murder. Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein's execution on December 30th.
Why did the name change? This is AI. I mean, I know this is AI narrative, but why the fuck did the pronunciation of the name change? Like, listen to this.
Scale murder.
Listen to this, bro.
Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein.
Saddam Hussein's
Saddam. Why did it change so
execution
bad?
on
Like,
December
so much,
30th,
bro.
2006, was supposed to be a solemn, controlled event. It wasn't. After the US-led invasion of Iraq and a lengthy trial for crimes against humanity, Saddam was sentenced to death by hanging. At dawn on that December morning, the 69-year-old former dictator was led into an execution chamber at an Iraqi military base in Baghdad.
Ooh, he about to get executed.
Official protocol was supposed to keep things dignified, but someone in the room had a cell phone. As Saddam stood on the gallows with a noose around his neck, guards began taunting him, shouting sectarian insults. Saddam responded with defiance, reciting prayers until the trapdoor opened, and he dropped. The whole thing was
Hey,
captured
bro,
on a grainy cell phone video that
Them prayers aren't gonna save you after all the shit you did, bro. You did too much shit.
leaked online
too
almost
much.
immediately. Saddam, dressed in a black coat, remained composed even as the insults flew. When the
Damn.
floor gave way beneath him, it was over quickly. His body was later returned to his family and buried in his hometown of Tikrit. The execution sparked
Tikrit.
massive controversy. Some viewed it as justice served. Others condemned the disrespectful treatment of a man facing death, regardless of his crimes. Muammar Gaddafi. Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya for 42 years with a bizarre mix of brutality and eccentricity.
Yeah, that's a country right there, Libya. I'm not gonna lie, I barely even heard that shit in my life. I think I've heard that at least 3 or 2 times.
On October 20th, 2011, he died begging for mercy in a drainage pipe, and the whole thing was
Damn,
filmed
what?
on cell
Why was he in a drainage? Why was he in a pipe, bro?
phones.
What are we doing?
During Libya's civil war, Gaddafi fled Tripoli as rebel forces closed in.
So you're a fucking fugitive, right? And your first idea is, let me go hide inside of a pipe. A drainage pipe. Yes, that's my idea.
He made it to his hometown of Sirte, where he held out for weeks before NATO airstrikes destroyed his convoy. Gaddafi escaped the wreckage and hid in a concrete drainage pipe with a few remaining bodyguards. When rebels found him, they dragged the 69-year-old dictator out into the open. Multiple cell phone videos captured what happened next. A bloody, disoriented Gaddafi, his face
Damn.
swollen and his clothes torn, being manhandled by jubilant fighters. In one video, he's heard pleading,
Just throwing hands, huh?
asking what he did wrong. Rebels shouted victoriously. Some struck him, and chaos reigned. What exactly happened in those final minutes remains disputed. But Gaddafi was
Like a
shot,
dictator.
reportedly in the head, and died shortly after his capture. His body was later displayed in Misrata, where locals lined up to see the corpse of their former.
The fact most of these fucking like executions or like these people dying all got fucking recorded just for everyone to see. Like, how bad do people gotta fucking hate you to just like all agree? Let's record this so everyone else in the country can see this fucker getting killed. Like, what are we
Dictator
doing?
lying in a commercial freezer. The
Damn.
phrase "caught like a rat in a drain" became headlines.
I hate. Bro, why? Why so many fucking ads? Get to the point,
If you have a
man.
crack like this, well, you have a problem. Today I'm learning how a cracked wall might...
I don't
His
got a
body was
crack wall.
eventually buried in an unmarked grave in the desert. Location undisclosed.
Undisclosed,
Augusto
huh?
Pinochet. Augusto Pinochet ruled
Last one here, chat. I bet it better be like an interesting ass day.
Chile for 17 years after seizing
Chile.
power in a bloody 1973 coup
I don't know
that
why I said
overthrew
that.
the democratically elected government of Salvador Allende. During his dictatorship, thousands of Chileans were tortured, killed,
Damn.
or disappeared. But unlike many dictators, Pinochet didn't die violently or in exile. He died in a hospital bed, old and
Alright.
comfortable, never fully
Why is that gonna be the last one? But you gotta make the last one interesting, no? Like,
answering
what the
for
fuck
his
are we doing,
crimes.
bro?
By 2006, the 91-year-old former dictator had been battling health problems for years. He'd suffered multiple heart attacks and strokes, and his body was finally giving out. On December 3, 2006, Pinochet suffered a massive heart attack and was rushed to Santiago's military hospital. Doctors performed emergency surgery, but complications set in quickly. Over the next week, his condition deteriorated. He suffered additional heart attacks and developed pulmonary edema, his lungs filling with fluid. On December 10, 2006, exactly 1 week after his initial heart attack, and on International Human Rights Day, Augusto Pinochet died surrounded by family members. He was 91 years old. When news of his death reached the streets of Santiago, the reaction was split. Some Chileans celebrated, gathering in the streets to cheer and wave flags, relieved that the dictator was finally gone.
Santiago.
Others mourned, viewing him as the man who'd saved Chile from communism and brought economic stability. Here's what made Pinochet's death particularly frustrating for those seeking justice. He'd spent his final years fighting extradition and prosecution. He'd been arrested in London in 1998 on Spanish warrants for human rights violations,
You didn't say none of this.
but was eventually released on medical grounds and returned to Chile. Back home, he faced multiple indictments for human rights abuses,
Oh.
tax evasion,
Shit, never mind, but he faced quite a bit.
and embezzlement. But his lawyers repeatedly argued he was too sick and senile to stand trial. The
Damn.
cases dragged on for years, and Pinochet never spent a day in prison for the atrocities committed
Damn,
under
bro.
his rule. His funeral was a
No
private
consequences
military
for his
affair,
actions.
and he was cremated shortly after. Pinochet's ashes were divided among family members, with some reportedly scattered in the ocean. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar
How many asses do you think have been just like scattered? Just scattered into the ocean, like.
ones, and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video in the comments.
It wasn't a bad video. It wasn't a bad video at all.